Okay, here's the pot that I threw and trimmed. And yes, it's going to be a big one. It's for a teapot. Still a little bit on the soft side up here, but it's better to have it a little bit soft so it's easier to cut. Now, I want to put the spout on. Here's the spout. And start with, you don't want the spout out like that. You want it up, so if you put a stick over the top, take the lid off. The top of the spout matches almost the top of the opening. If you have the spout down too low, you won't be able to fill the pot up. If you have it up too high, the liquid will come out of the top before it comes out of the spout. So I'm going to decide this is a good place to put this. So to get the spout ready, start by trimming that extra clay out. And you can just hand trim it. This is pretty soft. Usually I let it get a little bit firmer than this, but the top part's holding its shape. So trim that out. And then you'll notice inside are throwing lines. You don't want those in there because when you're pouring liquid out, the liquid will start spinning. You won't get a smooth pour, so you want the inside to be very smooth. So I'm just going to take the knife and blend that in. It doesn't have to be beautiful because you're not going to see it. You just want it smooth. There. That looks better. Now, the spout, much bigger than I need, but I need to cut it at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to do a rough cut. And some potters will do this right when they make the teapot spout. I like to do it as I'm building it so I can adjust it for that particular teapot. Because usually, like potato chips, you don't want to do just one. You want to do a bunch of them. And so you throw a lot of teapots and you throw a lot of spouts and lids and put them all together and get the ones that work together the best together. Okay. So you can see the angle that I've cut this at. It's a little rough at the bottom, but when I put it on the pot, this is what I get. I'm going to just clean up the bottom here and spread this out and thin that leading edge. So straighten this out. I'm just going to trim it just a little bit, just so it's a little rounder and a little more symmetrical. Pinch it out. And if for some reason you've let this get a little too dry, all you need to do is just dip it in some water, cover it up, let it absorb the water. Do it again until it's plastic enough that you can pinch it out. let's decide where the spout's got to be. So make sure it's on straight. Now that's too high. You can see that. I'm going to bring it down so the top is just below the top of the pot. Now line it up, and then take your needle tool and make a couple marks. These are keys so you'll know where to put it back. So I made a couple just scratches in the piece and the spout, and then I'm going to go around the spout to determine where I need to open it up. Now, this is a teapot, and teapots have tea, and you might want to have loose tea in the teapot. So holes are a good idea. Now you can use your fettling knife, and remember the tea's coming out this way, so angle your hole cutter in the direction that the tea is going to be coming out. So you can just spin this around. Where people make a mistake is they don't make the holes big enough. Remember, there's going to be glaze in there, and that glaze will shrink that hole down a little bit. If you have little tiny pinholes, I've had a lot of students who've made the holes too small, the teapot won't pour because they've glazed it shut. Another tool that's really good for the holes is one of these. It's a little hole cutter. It's a brass tube that's been sharpened and cut on the edge. And you just spin this in and cut out the holes. And I usually try to get as many as I can. You could do a really nice design there. A coffee pot, or something else that you're going to be pouring out of, it could be open. It doesn't matter. But the purpose of this is to catch that loose tea. And make as many as you can in the space that you've got. Another thing you can use to make holes would be the end of a Sharpie, end of a pen. You could use a soda straw. You could use a drill bit. I'm just going around and around here, getting as many as I can in that space. Now, some of these will be covered up with the spout, some with a little bit of slip in them, but the majority will be open. And it'll pour very nicely because of that. Just a couple more. Now you're not going to be able to get to this side again, so you might want to make sure it's cleaned off and get those burrs from the inside. Now, you can leave it like this. If the clay is soft enough, you can push this in. And by doing that, what happens when the tea hits it on the inside, it goes to the sides. So it makes it just a little bit more functional. Just want to clean out some of these little holes. Okay, now we're ready for the spout. So line it back up, score, and I always score more than I need. Go way out, because you can always smooth it off. And if you haven't softened it and scored it enough, what happens is you'll get cracking. So where it's going to attach, make sure you score, and wet or slip. This is some slip. line up the keys, line up the teapot spout, and go around and press it in so that slip oozes out the edge. Really press that guy on. You want that spout to look like it's part of the pot, but it's growing out of the pot. Now, I often will leave that seam there. Get rid of those lines. I'll leave that seam there because it kind of shows that transition. It's nice. But of course, you can blend it out. This one, I think I'm going to leave it because I have these creases in the body of the pot. So it'll relate kind of nicely. Just going to go around it. Get that bottom now. That's a little rough down there. I can add a little bit of clay. To make it possible to see it, I'm going to turn it on its back. These little pieces of foam are just wonderful. So just dampening it a little bit. Putting a little bit of clay in there and blending it together. If the clay is harder than what this is, you'll want to score it too. I just want to make this so it looks like it's growing out of the piece. It's part of the teapot. It belongs. Now, if you do this, if you add things like, little pieces of clay like I just did, make sure you slow dry it so it equalizes out. Use the rib and really get that transition nice. Now, you can mess with these things for hours, so just do what you need to do and let it firm up. Then you can add handles either now or later. Think about what kind of handle. Whether you want one coming off the back, whether you want one coming off the top, like this teapot, whether you want to put lugs on it for a cane handle. Okay. There's the beginning of a teapot. Now I can put lugs here, put a handle off the back. I'll show you in another video different kinds of handle possibilities. Thanks a lot.